Ladies, you are on the verge of realizing something deeply profound. There is no need to chase perfection, because what you are seeking is not somewhere out there, but within you. The world has often taught us to strive for more, to do more, to be more, as if fulfillment could be found in an endless accumulation of things. But in truth, the very essence of wisdom comes from letting go of the chase, the struggle, the constant need for approval or success. The need for control is something deeply ingrained in the way we approach life. We are taught from a young age that to succeed, we must take charge, make plans, and ensure everything aligns with our desires. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? The idea that if we just try hard enough, hold on tight enough, and strategize perfectly, the world will bend to our will. But life, as you may have noticed, doesn't quite work that way. The more we strive to control, the more elusive our desired outcomes often become. It's as if life itself resists being confined within our expectations, reminding us that it has a rhythm and intelligence of its own. To let go of the need for control is not about giving up. It's about recognizing that control, in the way we often think of it, is an illusion. Consider a river flowing through a valley. You cannot stop it, force it to change direction, or command it to behave differently. Yet you can navigate it, learn to float with its current, and trust that it will carry you forward. When you try to control the river, you exhaust yourself fighting against its natural course. But when you let go, you discover that the river knows where it's going, and you are simply a part of its journey. The desire for control often arises from fear. We fear uncertainty, the unknown, and the possibility of failure. So we cling to plans, strategies, and routines as though they can shield us from the chaos of life. But in doing so, we miss the point. Life is inherently uncertain. And this uncertainty is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Uncertainty is the space where possibilities exist. It's the blank canvas on which the most beautiful unexpected moments are painted. When you release the need to control, you make room for life's surprises, for opportunities you could never have anticipated. Letting go of control also means letting go of the idea that you must always have the answers. How often do we burden ourselves with the belief that we must know exactly what to do, how to act, or what will happen next? But life is not a test to be aced, it's a mystery to be lived. There is a profound wisdom in admitting I don't know. This admission doesn't make you weak, it makes you open. Open to learning, to growing, and to discovering new paths that you may never have seen if you had been fixated on controlling every detail. Think about relationships. How often do conflicts arise because one person tries to control the other? We want people to think, feel, and act in ways that align with our expectations. But people, like life, are not meant to be controlled. They are meant to be experienced. When you stop trying to control others, you begin to see them as they truly are, not as you want them to be. This shift creates space for authentic connection, where love and understanding can flourish. Letting go of control does not mean becoming passive or indifferent. It's not about abandoning responsibility or drifting aimlessly. Instead, it's about cultivating trust in yourself, trust in others, and trust in the unfolding of life. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. You do what you can to nurture it, providing water, sunlight, and care, but you cannot control how it grows. You cannot force it to bloom faster or ensure its petals will be the color you desire. Yet you trust that the seed knows how to grow. Life operates in much the same way. This trust, however, requires courage. It's not always easy to let go, especially when things don't seem to be going our way. But consider this: how many times have you looked back on a challenging moment and realized that things worked out better than you could have planned? How often has the path that unfolded naturally been far more rewarding than the one you tried to force? These moments are reminders that life often knows what it's doing, even when you don't. When you release the need for control, you free yourself from the constant pressure of trying to make life fit into a predetermined mold. You begin to see life not as a series of problems to solve, but as a dance to be enjoyed. You start to notice the beauty in spontaneity, the joy in the unexpected, and the peace that comes from allowing things to be as they are. Ultimately, letting go is not about giving up, it's about giving in to the flow of life, to the wisdom of the universe, and to the truth that you are part of something much greater than yourself. It's about realizing that control is not where your power lies. Your power lies in your ability to adapt, to trust, and to remain open to the endless possibilities that life offers. There is a quiet voice within each of us, a subtle yet profound guide that speaks not in words but in feelings, intuitions, and moments of clarity. This voice, often referred to as inner wisdom, is not something external that you must seek. It is already within you. Yet in a world that constantly bombards us with advice, expectations, and noise, it can be easy to lose touch with this inner guide. Trusting your inner wisdom requires courage, stillness, and the willingness to tune out the distractions of the world, to truly listen to yourself. Inner wisdom is not the same as the intellect, though the two can complement each other. The intellect is analytical, logical, and focused on solving problems. It thrives on data, evidence, and rational thought. But inner wisdom operates on a different frequency. It's the gut feeling that tells you something isn't quite right, the inexplicable sense of peace you feel when you're heading in the right direction, or the sudden insight that arrives when your mind is quiet. It doesn't always make sense at first glance, but it often proves to be remarkably accurate when given the chance. Learning to trust this wisdom begins with recognizing that it exists. Many people doubt themselves, believing that others know better or that the answers lie somewhere outside of them. They look to experts, friends, family, or societal norms to dictate their choices. While seeking guidance from others can be valuable, it becomes a problem when it drowns out your own voice. Your inner wisdom is uniquely attuned to your life, your experiences, and your path. No one else, no matter how well-intentioned, can fully understand what is right for you in the same way you can. The challenge, of course, is that inner wisdom often speaks softly. It doesn't shout or demand your attention like the external world does. Instead, it whispers, waiting for you to create the space to hear it. This is why cultivating stillness is so important. When you are constantly moving, thinking, and reacting, there is little room for that inner voice to emerge. But when you take a moment to pause, whether through meditation, quiet reflection, or simply being present, you create the opportunity to connect with this deeper part of yourself. It's important to note that trusting your inner wisdom does not mean ignoring logic or rejecting external input. It means using both your inner knowing and external resources to make decisions that align with your truth. For example, imagine you're offered a new job. Logically, it might seem like the perfect opportunity, better pay, great benefits, and a clear career path. But something inside you feels unsettled. Maybe you can't quite put your finger on it, but the thought of taking the job doesn't sit right. This is your inner wisdom speaking. It's worth listening to and exploring further, even if it seems counterintuitive. By combining this intuitive sense with the practical facts, you can make a decision that feels both wise and balanced. Trusting your inner wisdom also involves letting go of the need for certainty. Inner guidance doesn't always come with a detailed map or a clear explanation. Sometimes it's just a nudge, a feeling, or a sense of knowing. This can be uncomfortable, especially if you're someone who likes to have all the answers before taking action. But part of trusting yourself is being willing to move forward, even when you don't have the full picture. It's about having faith that the next step will reveal itself as you go. Self-doubt often stands in the way of trusting your inner wisdom. You might wonder, what if I'm wrong? What if I make a mistake? But mistakes are not failures, they are part of the learning process. Even when your decisions don't lead to the outcome you hoped for, they still provide valuable insights and growth. Trusting your inner wisdom is not about being infallible, it's about honoring your truth and being willing to learn from the journey. Over time, the more you listen to and act on your inner wisdom, the stronger it becomes. It's like a muscle that grows with use. Each time you trust yourself, you reinforce the connection to this inner guide and build confidence in your ability to navigate life's complexities. You begin to see that you don't need all the answers up front, because you have the ability to respond to whatever comes your way. This trust in yourself also brings a sense of freedom. When you rely on your inner wisdom, you are no longer at the mercy of others' opinions or societal expectations. You realize that you have the capacity to chart your own course, even if it looks different from what others might expect. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges or doubts, but it does mean you'll approach them with a deeper sense of confidence and clarity. Inner wisdom is not something extraordinary or reserved for a select few. It is a natural part of being human, accessible to anyone willing to tune in and trust. By listening to this quiet voice within, you discover a profound source of guidance that can help you navigate even the most uncertain and complex situations. It reminds you that deep down you already know more than you think you do. And to live in harmony with your surroundings is to understand that you are not separate from the world around you. This is not just a poetic idea, it is a fundamental truth of existence. Everything in life is interconnected, and every action, no matter how small, ripples outward to affect the whole. Recognizing this interconnectedness allows you to align yourself with the natural flow of life, creating a sense of balance and ease that cannot be achieved through force or resistance. Living in harmony begins with awareness. Take a moment to observe the world around you, the way the wind moves through the trees, the sound of birds in the morning, the rhythm of the seasons. These patterns are not random, they are the natural expressions of life itself. When you tune into these rhythms, you begin to see that life has its own intelligence, a way of unfolding that is both subtle and profound. You don't have to control or manipulate this flow, you simply need to learn how to move with it. This principle applies not only to nature, but also to the human world. Consider the relationships in your life. Harmony does not mean avoiding conflict or always agreeing with others. It means understanding the dynamics of give and take, of listening and responding. Just as a tree bends with the wind to avoid breaking, living in harmony with others involves flexibility, patience, and an openness to change. It's about recognizing that every person you encounter is a part of the same larger whole, and that your interactions are opportunities to contribute to a greater balance. Living in harmony also requires letting go of the illusion of separateness. Modern life often encourages us to see ourselves as individuals, isolated and independent. We are taught to pursue our goals, defend our boundaries, and prioritize our needs above all else. While individuality has its place, it can easily lead to disconnection if it is not balanced by an awareness of our shared existence. The truth is, you are not separate from the world, you are an integral part of it. The air you breathe, the food you eat, the people you meet, all of these are part of the web of life that sustains you. This interconnectedness becomes particularly evident when you consider your relationship with the natural environment. The earth provides everything we need to survive: air, water, food, shelter, and yet we often take these gifts for granted. Living in harmony with your surroundings means treating the earth with the respect and care it deserves. This doesn't necessarily mean making grand gestures. It can be as simple as being mindful of your consumption, reducing waste, or taking a moment to appreciate the beauty of a sunset. Small acts of gratitude and stewardship can have a profound impact, both on the planet and on your own sense of well-being. Harmony also involves adapting to the circumstances of life rather than resisting them. Life is constantly changing, and these changes are often beyond your control. Seasons shift, relationships evolve, opportunities come and go. When you resist these changes, you create tension and struggle. But when you accept them, you find a sense of peace. Adapting does not mean passively accepting everything as it is. It means recognizing what is within your power to change and what is not, and responding accordingly. It's about finding the balance between action and surrender, between effort and acceptance. To live in harmony with your surroundings is to cultivate presence. Often we are so caught up in our thoughts, plans, and worries that we fail to truly engage with the world around us. But harmony can only be found in the present moment. It is in the here and now that you can feel the warmth of the sun. hear the laughter of a friend, or sense the stillness of a quiet evening. When you are fully present, you align yourself with the rhythm of life, and everything becomes a little more effortless. This way of living also brings a deep sense of connection and belonging. When you see yourself as part of the whole rather than separate from it, you begin to feel at home in the world. This sense of belonging is not dependent on external circumstances, it comes from within. It's the understanding that you are exactly where you are meant to be, and that you are a vital part of the greater harmony of existence. Living in harmony does not mean that life will always be smooth, or that you will never face challenges. But it does mean that you approach these challenges with a sense of balance and perspective. Instead of fighting against the current, you learn to swim with it, trusting that the flow of life will carry you where you need to go. This trust is not blind optimism, it is a deep acknowledgement of the wisdom inherent in life itself. By aligning yourself with the natural rhythms of the world, you create a life that feels more fluid, more connected, and more at ease. You begin to see that harmony is not something you achieve through effort, but something you uncover by simply being present, aware, and aligned with the flow of life. This is the essence of living in harmony with your surroundings, a way of being that nourishes both you and the world around you. Imperfection is an undeniable part of being human, yet we often spend much of our lives trying to hide or correct it. From the way we look to the way we think, society bombards us with ideals of perfection that can make us feel as though we are never enough. But the truth is, it is precisely our imperfections that make us unique, relatable, and deeply alive. Embracing imperfection is not about giving up on growth or self-improvement. It is about recognizing that perfection is not the goal. The goal is to be authentic, to live fully, and to accept yourself just as you are in this moment. Imperfection is not a flaw, it is a feature of life itself. Look around at the natural world, and you will see this truth everywhere. No two leaves are exactly alike, no mountain range is perfectly symmetrical, and no sunrise is identical to the one before. Yet these imperfections are what make the world breathtakingly beautiful. Similarly, your own imperfections are what give you character and depth. They are the quirks, scars, and nuances that tell your story, making you who you are. When you stop trying to smooth out every rough edge, you allow your true self to shine through. The pursuit of perfection often leads to an endless cycle of dissatisfaction. No matter how much you achieve or improve, there is always a higher standard, a new flaw to fix, or someone else who seems to be doing better. This is where the toxic habit of comparison comes into play. When you compare yourself to others, you measure your life against an illusion. You see someone else's highlights, their polished moments, and compare them to your unfiltered reality. This is not only unfair to yourself, it is entirely inaccurate. Letting go of comparison is a liberating act. It allows you to step out of the race that no one can win and focus instead on your own unique journey. Everyone has their struggles, insecurities, and challenges, even if they are not immediately visible. The person you envy for their success, beauty, or confidence may be battling inner doubts that you cannot see. By comparing yourself to them, you are not only diminishing your own worth, but also misunderstanding the complexity of their experience. The antidote to comparison is gratitude. When you shift your focus from what you lack to what you have, you begin to see the richness of your life. Gratitude helps you recognize the unique gifts, opportunities, and qualities that make you who you are. Instead of longing for someone else's path, you start to appreciate your own. This does not mean you stop striving for growth, but your motivation changes. You are no longer driven by the need to measure up to others, but by the desire to become the best version of yourself, for yourself. Embracing imperfection also means embracing vulnerability. To show up as your imperfect self takes courage, because it means risking judgment, rejection, or misunderstanding. But it is through vulnerability that we form the deepest connections. When you allow others to see your imperfections, you give them permission to do the same. This creates a space of mutual authenticity, where real relationships can flourish. In contrast, when you try to present a facade of perfection, you distance yourself from others and miss the opportunity for true connection. Self-compassion plays a key role in embracing imperfection. It's easy to be harsh with yourself, to criticize every perceived shortcoming and hold yourself to impossible standards. But self-compassion invites you to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a close friend. It reminds you that making mistakes, falling short, and facing challenges are not signs of failure. They are part of the human experience. When you practice self-compassion, you learn to see your imperfections not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. One of the most powerful shifts that comes with embracing imperfection is the release of the fear of failure. When you accept that you are not meant to be perfect, you free yourself to take risks, try new things, and learn from your mistakes. Failure stops being something to avoid at all costs and becomes a natural part of the process of growth. Each stumble is a step toward greater understanding, resilience, and wisdom. When you let go of the need to be perfect and stop comparing yourself to others, you create space for joy, creativity, and self-acceptance. You start to see yourself not as a project to be completed, but as a living, evolving being. You realize that your worth is not determined by how closely you align with societal standards or how you stack up against others. Your worth is inherent, rooted in the simple fact that you exist. By embracing imperfection, you give yourself permission to live fully. You stop waiting for the day when you are good enough and start appreciating the person you are right now. You find beauty in the messiness of life, in the moments that are raw, real, and unfiltered. And in doing so, you discover a deeper sense of peace, freedom, and connection to both yourself and the world around you.
Thank you for watching and investing in yourself today. Remember, every small step you take moves you closer to greatness. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep chasing your dreams.